अस्सलाम वालेकुम गाइस, कैसे हैं आप? उम्मीद करता हूं कि आप सब खैरियत से होंगे, खुश होंगे और हमारी दुआ है कि हमेशा खुश रहें, हंसते और मुस्कुराते रहें। मेरा नाम है रहमान और भाई क्या होगी
और मैं हूं ज़फ़र इकबाल।
और आज हम जिस वीडियो पर रिएक्ट करने जा रहे हैं, इस वीडियो का टाइटल है दिस इज वेयर दलाई लामा लिव्स, धर्मशाला इंडिया। तो देखते हैं वीडियो। अगर वीडियो पसंद आए तो लाइक सब्सक्राइब जरूर कीजिएगा और कमेंट में अपनी राय के साथ जरूर कीजिएगा। तो करते हैं वीडियो स्टार्ट।
We are headed to the Dalai Lama complex.
Greetings everyone, yeah, we're headed down there right now. We are in Dharamshala, India. We just had amazing breakfast. And if you're unaware, Dharamshala is where after the Tibetan Buddhist refugees were exiled by China, the Dalai Lama came here with all his devotees, many of their families, and they set up shop in this little remote mountain area here in India, and the government gave them amnesty here. So they've been here in exile ever since, over 70 or 60, 70 years now. Lots of cool little shops around here, you can't see, but the Dalai Lama lives here and his whole complex is here. So we're gonna go walk around that, give you guys an inside look of what that's like there. It's a beautiful little area, I want you all to see it. I think you'll like it.
Chalo chalo.
Chalo chalo. So also, as you might be able to see, there's already some monks over here. Most Tibetan Buddhists in the region, a lot of them live here and stay here and study here at temples. So you'll see tons of Tibetan Buddhists here. So this complex way up here is where the Dalai Lama lives, where he's been for the past 50, 60 years, and what you could essentially call the foundation or ground zero for Tibetan Buddhism around the world right now, outside of Lhasa, which is still in China or Tibet. So that's where we're going. Street dogs are everywhere, especially in India. You see that big Buddha statue over there. They're letting people in now. We gotta grab some masks first. Before you go in, you gotta get a mask. So we're gonna get some.
Compulsory.
Punch?
No, 10.
No, punch. Punch rupees.
5
Do? Do. Let's get these masks on and get inside. The cool thing here about this complex is that it's free entry. There's no entry fee or anything like that. You can visit the temple anytime you want, as often as you want when the hours are open, and explore it, sit, meditate, visit the stupa. No entry fee, totally free. All right, so we had to wait a minute, but now we're in the complex, gonna go see what it's like. There's so many sleeping dogs all over the place here. Beautiful dogs. Hey, buddy. Narayan's also a little sleeping dog. As a side note, inside this complex that houses the Dalai Lama is the largest Tibetan temple that exists in the world outside of Tibet. So, little shops here, little kitchen, more dogs. Tibetan National Martyrs Memorial. It's beautiful. So this is just the outside of the complex. A lot of the inside stuff is up there. I'm not sure which hall the Dalai Lama gives talks in, but every once in a while, maybe once, twice a month, if it's requested, he'll do speeches on different Buddhist texts or different world issues. But this is the only place he really does that, especially now that he's getting really old. He's late, I think 80s.
Yeah, we just missed him. He just spoke a few days ago, so
yeah, we missed him by like
and
2 days.
Yeah, actually the day before we got here, he was speaking. But he'll speak again in I think 2 months or a month.
Yeah, I think about a month. And what's cool is you can only, if you want to see him speak, you can only get tickets here. So you can't get them online. You can't plan for it. You have to be here in Dharamshala, show up to the building ahead of time, and get tickets there. But wow, look at all these books. So tons of amazing books about Tibetan Buddhism, the Dalai Lama himself. A lot of them are in Tibetan, if you can see it. It's super cool. Such a pretty language. That's awesome. All right, let's see what else they got. No camera. All right, so since we have our phones and cameras on us, we're not allowed to go into the main temple, which makes sense. But they don't have lockers, so we can't put it anywhere. So we're gonna have to come back another time to go inside the main complex. but there's still a lot of other stuff around here that we want to explore, so we're gonna look around and see what there is around here if we're allowed. I'm not 100% sure. It's a really pretty stupa up there though. It's hard to see. So we can zoom in on it. See what's around here. I know there's a stupa around here somewhere. Maybe it's out this way. There's a courtyard. I'm not sure if we're allowed to be out here. I think a bunch of the monks live out here. They're down there studying right now. It's so cool. Look at that. So I wonder how we get to the stupa. I think maybe we have to go around the outside. Maybe the outside road to the backside. There's a road around the back of the complex that I think might lead to the stupa here. So we're gonna go try to go that way and see what there is. Look at these guys hanging out and playing. Hey, buddy. Oh. Hi, buddy. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. You can see here, they have a whole monument, a whole building on this wall about the freedom of the Tibetan people. This statue is actually called Burning Tibet, about the monks and the people who were killed. Please remember them in Tibet 122. These dogs are everywhere. I don't know how often they get loving, so I think they love when they do. Hey, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Those are some really nice little street dogs.
You're sweet.
You never know, you know, when you're, especially when you're walking around the street. Some are nice, some are mean, but those ones are super friendly. All right, so we're gonna walk around the back of the complex now and see what else there is. So here's a really interesting sign. If you guys didn't know this, so the Dalai Lama names the Panchen Lama, and in 1995, you can see it here, he proclaimed this child, Gedun Choke Nima, the Panchen Lama. And 3 days later, Chinese authorities kidnapped his entire family and him, and he's never been seen since. They have no idea where he is, if he's alive. Chinese officials say that he's alive and that he's out of college and stuff like that, but again, there's no proof. They've never shown any proof of it, and they've since instituted their own Panchen Lama. And as it says here, he's considered as the world's youngest political prisoner. Crazy. Kidnapped as a little kid. So that's one of the reasons that the Dalai Lama also said that if he reincarnates, he's not going to reincarnate inside of China, because he feels they will just install a puppet Dalai Lama to be controlled by the country and the state. So pretty unfortunate stuff. But all right, let's walk around back now.
What's that?
Veg momos?
Veg.
Veg? Okay, let me come back. We haven't had any street veg momos. Maybe we should have some of those soon.
Yeah, those other ones.
Yeah, the other ones. There's a little temple farther up, back in McLeodganj. We're gonna have some veg momos there later on. You'll see a video on that somewhere up here.
Jai Bhagwan.
Jai. Hariom. This is the backside of the complex. As you can see, the fog is starting to roll in. Since we're up here on the side of the mountain, it gets foggy really fast. Oh, well, yeah, there's a skyway. I don't know if you guys saw that. I'm not sure if we can access the stupa from this direction, but we're gonna go see. Hopefully we can. So when you come to the temple, if you're ever interested in checking out this place, it's actually located in a little part of town in Dharamshala known as Ganj, and this roughly translates to Little Lhasa. And if you're unaware, in Tibet, Lhasa is the old capital, the old center of Tibetan Buddhism, where all the Dalai Lamas and this 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, lived again up until the 1950s, the late 1950s, when China began to try to overthrow and control or take control of Tibet. And that's why when they came here, they named this area Ganj as an ode to Lhasa. Little Tibetan mantras all over these stones, written everywhere. That's pretty cool. I think they all say Om Mani Padme Om, which is one of the most, probably the most popular prayer. Yeah, Om Mani Padme Om. It's what Tibetan Buddhists especially chant as part of their meditations. So they've written a bunch of them all over here. All over the walls. It's so cool. They're pretty colors too. It's a lot bigger of a complex than I thought on this side, because this whole entire area has barbed wire and is fenced off.
It's like such an old wall.
Yeah, super old wall. It looks like it's just like one little building on the side, but you can see it's this huge wall. It goes for probably a quarter mile, maybe half a mile, growing tons of moss. I wonder if they built this whole thing when the Dalai Lama got here, when they set up shop, or if it was here beforehand. That's so cool, all these little stones. But these little offerings. That's awesome. She was chanting her rounds, so that was cool. So if you don't know, Tibetan prayer flags, they hang them up as a sign of impermanence. They have mantras on them, but the thing is they're made from these really thin cloths and fabrics, and over time they just, in the wind and through weather, they pretty much disappear, fade away, fall apart very slowly, and it's just a reminder of that impermanence of life, of the continuously changing nature of reality. And they have them hung pretty much everywhere, especially on stupas, which is what we're going to look for right now.
Something down there?
There's a stupa, but it's pretty steep. I don't want to walk down that steep road, especially with Narayan and sleeping so nicely. So there is a stupa, but the road gets pretty steep down there. We don't want to walk down that steep road and have to walk all the way back up, especially with Narayan. It gets a little difficult. So we're just going to head back up into town and see what's around there. I find the most interesting thing about spiritual places like this is that you find quite literally all walks of life. You have rich tourists who are coming here to view it and don't even want to go inside. You have shop owners who have lived here their whole lives, some who are an Indian, some who have came with their families from Tibet, and of course you have monks and monastics and even Hindu sadhus around the area too, who devote their lives to spiritual growth and evolution. It truly is an interesting place because it's a melting pot of every single conceivable walk of life. Rich, poor, spiritual, material, all types of people, all types of existences live here and exist here in harmony of all things. So each of these little prayer flags has different mantras and prayers written on them, covering the whole thing, which most prayer flags do, which is a really nice thing. Meditations, teachings, covering the entire flag all the way to the bottom. And then of course the Om Mani Padme Om. Such nice stuff. And they're really pretty, you know, their colors. They're just really peaceful. So now we're getting kind of back to the front of the complex. You can see it, they're starting to show up. I wonder if they use this barbed wire to keep out monkeys and stuff.
Or just people from trespassing.
That's true, or people scaling the walls and trespassing. I guess since it's the Dalai Lama's home, they want to keep it, I assume they want to keep it pretty secure.
Safe.
Yeah, safe, protecting the #1 biggest figurehead in Buddhism, arguably, of our time. pretty cool knowing he's just, you know, a few feet away or a few hundred feet away at most in that complex. I think those kids might be in class now. A bunch of monks up there. It's like an open atrium type area. You can kind of hear them running around and jumping around. It's pretty cool. What a unique and interesting little place, just, you know, hidden up here in the mountains of India, the Tibetan capital in exile. Wow. So yeah, that was a little trip around the complex. Sorry we couldn't get farther inside into the temple. No cameras allowed, but hopefully you enjoyed just walking around it with us, exploring it a little bit. And as always, we'll see you next time. We're going to check out the markets and see some other stuff now. So we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.
तो जैसा कि आप वीडियो देख रहे थे, तो भाई दलाई लामा जो मतलब कि भाई अच्छा ये ज़्यादातर आप बोल रहे थे कि ये भाई आधा इंडिया में आता है और आधा चाइना में आता है, ये कैसे? हाँ
तो मैं पूछ रहा था आपसे।
नहीं, आप मुझसे पूछ रहे थे, मुझे लगा कि आप बता रहे हैं कि भाई ये ऐसे।
नहीं, मैं शुरू से हंस रहा था क्योंकि मुझे बहुत याद आई थी ये दलाई लामे की, क्योंकि
भाई दलाई लामा दलाल नहीं था किसी का,
वही
दलाई लामा
है उसको भाई जब इन्होंने चाइना ने कब्जा करना था ना इधर तिब्बत वाली साइड पर, उन्होंने इनको बुलाया है अकेला कि तुम अकेले आओ हमने तुमसे मिलना है। वो बात पर मुझे ऐसी आ रही थी और इन्होंने बोला था आगे से कि मैं अकेला क्यों हूँ, उन्होंने बोला दावत है आप आ जाएं, चाइना वाले बोला था तो फिर वो ये तिब्बत वाले जो लोग थे ना, इनको भी शक हो गया था कि चाइना ऐसा ऐसे अटैक और कब्जा करने वाला है, तो उन्होंने सारी आवाम ही एक निकल आई थी बाहर रोडों पर और इनके घर को उन्होंने चारों तरफ से घेर लिया था। और पता नहीं वो कैसे उन्होंने फिर भी चाइना ने इनको एक किडनैप कर लिया था या नहीं किया था, मुझे ये नहीं याद, मुझे लगता है कि
किया होगा,
कर लिया था, क्योंकि जब उन्होंने घर को घेरा था ना तिब्बत वाली साइड पर जो लोग थे इधर रहते, तो वो अंदर नहीं था।
तब उन्होंने गेम भाई डाली थी, मतलब ये कि ऐसा ये किसी वक्त भी और कुछ भी कर सकते हैं।
लेकिन ये कि ये इंडिया के हक में था।
हाँ, इंडिया के हक में काफी था ये।
हाँ जी बोले
खामोश हो।
मैं
हाँ, इंडिया के हक में।
अच्छा बिल्कुल, सबसे ये व्लॉग देखने का मकसद ये था कि क्योंकि तिब्बत एक तो ज़्यादा यही सुना है कि उसका कब्जा है चाइना का इसके ऊपर, लेकिन यहाँ पे अक्सरियत जो हमें वो तो इंडियन की नज़र आई है, लेकिन ये कि ये उस साइड पे ये टोटली ना हो,
ये हिस्सा सारा जितना हमने अब देखा है ये इंडिया में ही है। मुझे तो यही लग रहा था क्योंकि ये जो है ये इंडिया में ही है। अभी
फ्री तिब्बत लिखा हुआ था, फ्री शॉप्स के दुकानों के आगे वो है ना शटल, उनके ऊपर वो शायद इस साइड के में शायद कुछ हिस्सा अभी इंडिया के अंदर हो।
हाँ, तिब्बत वाली साइड काफी एक उनकी काफी एक इम्पोर्टेंट जगह भी है,
वो चल रहे थे वो,
क्योंकि ये जो एक जो जिन्होंने लाल कपड़ा नहीं पहना हुआ भाई, पता नहीं उनको क्या बोलते हैं, तो इनका एक काफी इधर किरदार ये बुद्धिस्ट है, आई थिंक बुद्धिज्म। हाँ, तो वो उधर से काफी लोग आते हैं, इधर से वियतनाम की साइड से, थाईलैंड की साइड से, ये काफी इंडिया में आते हैं। हर साल इनका एक होता है, पता नहीं क्या एक दिन होता है बड़ा भाई, आप नाम नहीं मुझे भी याद है,
लेकिन जो है कि भाई ये वीडियो
असल में
काफी अच्छी
बिल्कुल
थी।
ये दोनों मियाँ बीवी हैं और इनके पास एक बच्ची है और ये पैदल चल के व्लॉग
बनाते हैं। बच्चा है,
बेटी है यार उनकी।
अच्छा अच्छा अच्छा, वैसे उसको भाई वो सुलाई रखते हैं हर टाइम, वो एक दफा जागा गया तो हमने देखा कि
बिल्कुल एक बहुत यूनिक तरीके से ये व्लॉग बनाते हैं, मतलब सुकून से, कोई पीछे म्यूजिक नहीं, कोई कुछ नहीं, मतलब ना बड़ा आराम से चल रहे हैं, एक एक चीज दिखा रहे हैं, जिस तरह वो तंग गलियां ऊपर जा रहे हैं, मतलब बहुत अच्छा माहौल है, ब्यूटीफुल जो है ना आप कह ले, एक सुकून वाला माहौल है आगे जिस तरह। लेकिन ये कि लोग बहुत कम थे, लेकिन दूसरा ये स्कूटियां वगैरह
अंदर बड़े चले गए होंगे ना भाई, कोई काम शाम भी कर रहे होंगे अब,
लेकिन अच्छा भी लोग
सुबह सुबह बनाया तो लोग काम पर थे और कुछ
बिल्कुल में। हाँ, सुबह सुबह के व्लॉग है, उस वक्त वो चहलकदमी कर रहे थे, साथ ही एक व्लॉग उन्होंने भाई बना दिया। तो खैर भाई वीडियो तो काफ़ी अच्छी थी, तो उम्मीद करते हैं कि गाइस आपको वीडियो पसंद आएगी और इसके बारे में और भाई कमेंट्स में ज़रूर बताएं, तो करते हैं वीडियो एंड। तो अल्लाह हाफिज़।